What's going on, everyone? Lumaris here. Welcome to week 4 of UGA's Draft League. Over the last 3 weeks, we've seen some successful victories over our opponents, and I'm looking to do the same this week. This week, we'll be going against Snom and his team, the Texas Tornadus. He's got a couple interesting mons that could pose some threats, but let's take a look at the team builder. So looking at his team, most notable to me is the Cresselia Trick Room mode. Marowak under Trick Room can do a lot of damage into my team. I don't have a lot of ghost resists, and fire is just a good type all around, especially with Marowak's high base attack and thick club. It can do a lot of damage really, really quickly. Tangrowth is going to be very annoying for Rage Powder. I can put safety goggles on one Mon, and Rillaboom ignores it, but the other 4 Mons are going to be redirected without anything. This is especially worrisome for Cresselia Tangrowth leads, where Cresselia tries to set Trick Room for the Marowak while Tangrowth redirects all attacks. The Vaporeon can be annoying for late game, but I really don't see it coming when I have Rillaboom. I know Sock has gotten a lot of kills on his team too. I'm not too sure what it would do. Fighting is decent into Terrakion and Persian lead, but I don't see it doing that much damage. Its attack is okay, and its inner focus means I can't fake it out, but I don't know. Maybe it's doing a sturdy counter or something. Zapdos is also kind of scary, but a lot of his team is smashed by Terrakion. He's actually got 1, 2, 5 Mons that are weak to Rock and only 1 resist, so I can basically just throw Rock type moves onto any of the slots this week and not have to worry about switches, except from Sock. The other thing I see is that Scolipede could be a little bit annoying just when it if it runs like Focus Sash, Sword Stance for Earthquakes or something, but I really don't see that coming too much because it's so weak into Terrakion. I think the thing I'm most scared of is probably Lele. I don't have a whole lot of damage into Psychic types except for Copperaja. And I really don't want to bring Copperaja under Trick Room because of the Marowak. It can't kill it, and it will just die right back. Lele can run Scarf or Specs or Life Orb, really anything it wants this week. Even if I run Roselli Berry, it's still going to do such massive damage, and I really can't do anything back to it. So that's definitely what I'm going to be keeping in mind when I build the team. So let's see what I came up with. So starting off with Terrakion, we see that I decided to run Sash this time, and I'm running a 252 Adamant nature this time because Rock Slide will pick up a kill onto Cresselia guaranteed at +4. So this should be one option to deny Trick Room if he decides to go that way, which I have a feeling he will. And I normal moves, I decided to run Close Combat, Coaching, and Poison Jab. No Protect this time. I don't love this, but I get walled by Tangrowth otherwise, and a Poison Jab, especially at +4, is just going to destroy it. Next, we got the Persian. Again, for the Tangrowth, I'm running the Safety Goggles so I can beat up into my Terrakion without worrying. And just like normal, we're running the Taunt, Icy Wind, Snarl. Again, another option to deny Trick Room. And I've got this very defensive for the Sock. If Lele comes out, it'll probably just pick up a KO if it's Scarf. But there's not much I can do about that at that point. I've also got the Scarf or the Sash on Terrakion for a coaching. As you'll see for the next couple Mons, it can be really useful to if Lele is Specs or Scarf, because Terrakion does underspeed max speed Lele, which is a little disappointing, but I had to go that route. it's going to be able to get a coaching off into the next couple mons. So next we'll see Rillaboom. Just running the Miracle Seed. I want some extra damage onto stuff like the Vaporeon if he brings it, or the Mamoswine, things like that. I've also got Knockoff, Protect, and Fake Out. Knockoff is for the Cresselia again. I think I'm over preparing for this, or to knock off the Lele Specs or Scarf or Life Orb or whatever the heck it's running. It's also going to be important to reset terrain. I don't mind losing terrain too much. I don't think priority is going to be super important this time. I can always just max it and do some damage that way. But and Fake Out's probably not going to be super important. Next we've got Rapidash Galar. I'm using it this time as one of my 2 Imprison Room mons. I'm decided not to go for Sigilith, even though it's a little bit bulkier normally, because he's got the Mamoswine and the Zapdos to put pressure onto it, as well as the Archeops. I mean, even it will outspeed in a Rockhead or what's it called? I never use it. The Head Charge or something like that move. Probably just would decimate it and let Cresselia set up. So Rapidash gonna be a little bit bulkier just by typing. So we've got Imprison, Protect, Trick Room, Psychic. Maybe I can deny Psychic on a Cresselia or something. Who knows? And and we've got Araquanid. This time I'm running the physical Araquanid with a Waterfall, Lunge, Crunch, and Protect. He's also got the Shedinja, so you'll see that most of my mons have some kind of way to hit it with the knockoff on Rillaboom, Snarl on Persian, and the Rock Slide on Terrakion. So I really don't want Shedinja staying around for longer than it has to. I'm running the Citrus Berry on Araquanid as well, because if this is kind of my answer for if he does get Trick Room up, which you always got to assume that things will go wrong, even though I have all these different answers for how I could deny Trick Room. If Araquanid comes in, maybe I stall out his max or something, and after he might be able to Poltergeist once, pop my Citrus Berry, and then since he'll have no item, he'll be walled basically by the Araquanid. Finally, we've got Entei. This is my Tapu Lele answer. I'm running Sacred Fire, Extreme Speed, Snarl, and Crunch with the Assault Vest. It's a very bulky version. It's a Assault Vest with 116 HP and max Def. So it's very specially bulky. And my plan for this guy is if Lele does become a problem, I can bring Terrakion out and give a coaching off into it, and that should make up for the attack and defense EVs that I'm missing out on. Alright, so that is the team. Let's get into the match. So before we get into the match, you'll notice that this time it's on Showdown. This was just because we were having some trouble connecting to each other. I'm not sure if it was my Switch or his, but one of us was having some trouble. I think it was me. But anyway, we decided to go for the Showdown this time, so let's start the match and let's see what it looks like. So he brought the Archeops, the Mamoswine, Vaporeon, Tangrowth, Zapdos, and Shedinja. I immediately see no Cresselia, no Lele, so I don't know what the heck is coming at me. I go with my plan of leading Kipasso and Hey Baby. This is a reference to what I think his team name is from, which is the Texas Tornadoes, which is a music group, but I don't know if that's true or not. I bring Entei in the back for just the Tangrowth and Mamoswine, and then Rillaboom as well. I really don't know what to expect here, so I'm kind of just bringing things that I can, like coaching if things go bad, or anything else. There's also no Marowak, so I'm really confused at this point. Let's see what he brings. Rapidash, I know, is going to be pretty much useless in this battle. It was really only to deny Trick Room, and since that's not an option, I'm basically just playing with 5 mons. I'm okay with that though. I would rather have brought Rapidash than not. Alright, so we lead Persian Terrakion, and he sends out Archeops and Shedinja. So this is pretty interesting. I know that I could fake out Archeops, but there's a pretty good chance that Shedinja's has Will-O-Wisp onto Terrakion. I could Rock Slide, but Shedinja's probably sashed most likely. So I decide that Archeops could get Tailwind up here, but it's not too much of a threat. So I decide to, well, I'm kind of thinking about it first. I could beat up into my own Terrakion, but I ultimately decide to just Rock Slide and beat up into the Shedinja. This would cover for Shedinja being Focus Sash. It is not Focus Sash, but Archeops actually outsped, and I didn't notice. I just kind of figured, oh, it outspeeds Persian. That sucks, and that's all I thought about it. I didn't even think about that my Persian is max speed, and there's no possible way that Archeops could possibly be outspeeding Persian right now. But I just kind of keep going. You're gonna find that I'm clicking very fast during this game. I'm a little pressed for time, but more so I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Yeah. So I see Mamoswine come out, and now that I know I'm burned, he's faster than me too. He most likely maxes here. And my Focus Sash is popped because of the burn, which is even worse. So I decide to switch in Rillaboom for the Persian to maybe get a coaching off of it on it. He reads this right away though and snipes Rillaboom, which means that my turn is nothing. If I had at least Rock Slided there, I probably would have done decent damage onto both of those. So I think that was a really aggressive play on his part, but it worked out for him. At this point, I have to max Entei. I could coach into Entei. Zapdos is still a little bit worrisome, but since I'm AV with like no defense investment, I'm a little worried right now. I really need that coaching off. Also, I'm gonna Sacred Fire. I think my only out at this point is a burn, even though he's probably thick fat. But I don't even get that chance. I should have at least max guarded there, I think. It would have given me a defense raise, and then the next turn I could have Icy Winded. Try to slow it down a little bit. At this point, the game's over. I might as well go for a beat up or something. I don't even max this game. I just got destroyed basically. He decides to max guard both, which I think he said was it was a misclick. But it's not gonna do anything for him. It's not gonna change the outcome. It's kind of nice being able to talk to your opponent during these matches. You don't get that much on the Switch. So since the Tailwind is gone, I can see the speed tier interactions. So I can just beat up into, or I can just attack with the Terrakion. I just go for a beat up and Rock Slide. I didn't even think to max because I figured it was over at this point. One of the two is going to kill me, and actually Mamoswine just finishes the job with Ice Shard anyway. If I had maxed, I probably still lost. I probably still died, rather. At this point, it's over, so I just have to wait for him to kill me and go on to the next game. So basically through game one, but maybe we can pull it back in game two now that I know how much of a threat that Mamoswine is. Alright, and we're into game two. Let's see what I lead this time. I know that Terrakion and Persian obviously aren't the play. Rillaboom at least can get some damage onto Archeops before it gets up Tailwind. And it can also fake out things. So since Shedinja's not sashed, for example, I can fake out the Archeops and Rock Slide, and that should pick up the KO onto Shedinja and do good damage onto Archeops. Enough where I should be able to kill it with a Grassy Glide the next turn. So I'm bringing Entei and Araquanid in the back. So this time he leads Tangrowth, which little scary because there's a pretty good chance that Zapdos can just do big damage off into me. I think about protecting, but I'm actually going to fake out and poison jab into the Tangrowth just because I feel like I want it gone for the next couple turns, especially for I'm thinking I want to max Entei this game because it has the AV, so I want to get rid of the Tangrowth so I can just target it into the Zapdos. Is my thinking. That's not a great plan, but I think I should have protected the Rillaboom and just Rock Slided. It would have been guaranteed damage. Because Entei is going to be able to flare into the Tangrowth anyway. Here I can go for a coaching onto Entei because I know I am sashed, so I'm going to live anything unless it's doubling up, and if it's doubling up, then I'm not too worried about damage into Entei. I'm also a little bit worried if Zapdos goes for another Airstream here, Tangrowth could be pretty fast at +2, and could Sleep Powder into Entei, and that would basically be game over. He does go for the Airstream. Let's see if he goes for the Sleep Powder. No, he just Power Whips into Terrakion, which the Sash comes in handy. Actually using my own terrain against me, which is very rude. +1 Max Flare with the Aqua Berry does 55%. That also sets up the Sun, so now I am basically at 2.25 times more damage than I was at the beginning of the term, which is pretty nice. Tangrowth is going to be faster than everything we know, and it could redirect with Rage Powder. I decided to just Rock Slide. I figure it's probably going to take, either if it Rage Powders, then I get damage off with Terrakion most likely, or if I Flare, yeah, same thing, but Zapdos is going to finish off Terrakion, which is nice for me. I can get a free switch into Araquanid the next turn, and since Zapdos is not Dynamaxed anymore, I should just be able to pick up a KO onto it. Shedinja's out now, but I'm not too worried about what it's going to do. It can't burn Entei. If it tries to Poltergeist into Araquanid, I have the Citrus Berry, so it might do some damage at first, but it won't win the 1v1. I am worried if Zapdos protects, I would probably have to hope that an Extreme Speed picks up the KO, which could be a little sketchy, so it would probably come down to a double protect, maybe? That's not totally true, because Zapdos could only pick up a KO onto Entei or Araquanid, but it doesn't protect, and we are able to just KO it. At this point, a Mamoswine comes out, which I should be faster, so I can go for a Sacred Fire. Even if it's Thick Fat, it's still neutral damage, and I'm in the sun. Again, since I'm not worried about Shedinja, I can just Waterfall into Mamo. Again, even though it's in the sun, it's still super effective damage coming off of a Water Bubble Araquanid, so it's going to do plenty. Shedinja's just kind of on the field at this point, hanging out. And it can't even burn Araquanid because of the Water Bubble ability. Entei will go down between the Shedinja and the Mamoswine, doubling into it, but at this point, like I said, Shedinja is walled by Araquanid, so I can just crunch into it. No, it's not Focus Stashed. And I get to not reveal that I'm Citrus, which is very nice. Maybe I can do the same thing the next game. So we go 1-1. Just need one more game to wrap it up, and let's see how that goes. So we're in the third and final game now. This time I decide to lead the same as the first time with Persian and Terrakion. I'm thinking that, all I have to do this time is Icy Wind, and I should be slower than the... I should be faster than the Archeops because I know that I am... I know that I am max speed, so there's no reason I shouldn't be faster than the Archeops, and I can just Rock Slide and pick up the KO onto Shedinja, and we should be in a much better spot the next time. Alright, so he does lead Archeops and Mamoswine this time. I know that I can just Icy Wind, even though Mamoswine's probably Thick Fat, I can just Icy Wind and deny Trick Room by just Rock Falling into Archeops, and then the next turn I can do a beat up pretty safely. Without Tailwind, the Mamoswine isn't too scary. And this should be a KO onto Archeops anyway. So I decide to max. He maxes his Mamoswine as well, and the Archeops goes first. And now at this point, I'm stumped because I completely forgot that game one, it went before my Persian. I just kind of assumed that I messed something up and it wasn't him. So at this point, I realized, wait, I max speed. It went before me. That thing has been scarfed this whole time, and I didn't even realize it. So I'm like reconsidering everything, because the whole point of this lead was to deny Tailwind, and now he got it up anyway, and Mamoswine is basically locked and loaded. Vaporeon shows Baby Doll Eyes, which is even worse because now my Coaching Mon is maxed. So I think about Grassy Gliding into Vaporeon, but I'm thinking it's so likely that he protects Vaporeon or Baby Doll Eyes into Rillaboom that I decide to just get some chip damage into Mamo. It's still super effective damage, and with the Miracle Seed, it should chunk it. Mamoswine's not super bulky, so I'm hoping that'll be enough. And I go for a Rock Fall onto Mamoswine, if I remember correctly, which is a misplay. Yeah, I'm thinking that it's super effective, but I always forget that the ground type actually denies it. So Knuckle probably would have picked up the KO, but it's whatever. Extreme Speed can do the same thing the next turn. And now that Terracion's not maxed, I can go for a Coaching into Entei to try to nullify that Baby Doll Eyes. At this point, I just have to try to break through the Vaporeon, which I'm a little worried about. Since I lost my Rillaboom, I have like no damage into it. Definitely should have saved Rillaboom and brought out Entei. It might have still died, but at least it would have saved me a turn. Entei's not doing much, and as long as Mamoswine's gone, Rillaboom can probably do more damage into the end game than Entei would be able to. So I get a Coaching. He actually doesn't go for Baby Doll Eyes, which is fine by me. And he is showing to be Wish Protect, possibly. At this point, the Tailwind's gone, so I know I can just go for a Sacred Fire and coach into the Entei again to try to deny a Baby Doll Eyes. I don't want him dropping my attack even more. So I go for the Coach. He doesn't go for the Baby Doll Eyes again. He just keeps scalding into the Terrakion, which is pretty good recognition on his part. He knows that once the Terrakion's gone, he can start lowering the attack of the Entei. I'm going to Sacred Fire into the Zapdos again, since it's already shown to be it's already protected. Vaporeon wishes, but at this point I have no damage into it, and the best thing I can hope for is like a burn. Even the grassy terrain that I have is healing it back up, so I really have nothing into it. He could start scalding me. I am pretty specially bulky, so I should be able to live some, but it's going to be a matter of doing more damage into him than the wishes are going to heal him back up. So at this point, the best thing I can go for are defense drops. And try to, if I got like maybe 2 defense drops in a row, I could have outpaced the wishes, which isn't like super unlikely. It's a 4% chance of getting 2 in a row. He gets another wish off though, so at this point I'm just going to Snarl, try to drop his special attack as much as I can. I'm thinking maybe I can bring him to timer, but I have no way of recovery, and he does. So even if we somehow waste 5 minutes, there's no way that I would be able to win. If I had 2 Mons, maybe, possibly I could have done it, but not with a 1v1, so I end up losing. So this is our first loss of the tournament, but I'm okay with that. I mean, we went 3-1 in the first half, and if we can go 3-1 again in the second half, I would be more than happy with that. Like I said the last couple weeks, I am only shooting for a like neutral 4-4. So the fact that we already are at 3-1, I'm super happy about. I know this is a super competitive league. So for me to be at this pace right now, I'm more than comfortable with. So the next week is trade week, and I've actually already done my trades after I've done this post commentary. So the match is over, but if you want to hear about the trades I made and why I made them, feel free to stick around. If not, I will see you next week. So let's talk trades. Everything's been performing really well on my team, and I'm not too upset about it. When I look at this team, the only two mons that I have trouble fitting in are the Copperajah and the Stoutland. They're both good mons on their own. Stoutland's able to yawn and baby doll eyes. It has Scrappy to hit ghost types that I'm weak to. It has intimidate support. It also can run Sand Rush if I decide to max Tracheon and get a rock move off. But it's just so awkward to fit in over all the other cores of my team. Like, what would I replace? Rillaboom? Yeah, no. Same thing with Copperajah. Having a steel type is going to be very important. I'm really weak to Fairy, so I think having a good steel type is a necessity, basically. But it's so slow and it can't max. And if it does max, it wants to give up its item, and it's just awkward. Like, I want to run Assault Vest on it, but then it doesn't have Life Orb for Sheer Force. I want to max it, but then its ability is nullified. It's just, I'm having a lot of trouble with it. So I think I'm going to trade those two. And the two that I traded it for are right here. So I decided to basically trade with KJ, because he actually ended up taking my Copperajah, funny enough. But I took his Kling Klang. I decided to run Kling Klang because it's much, much faster than Copperajah, so I don't have to run in Trick Room. But it does get Trick Room, so if I want to fit that in on my set, I can actually reverse Trick Room or set it, but most likely just reverse Trick Room with the Kling Klang. It's not super offensive. I believe it has base 100 attack, but that's honestly plenty for a tier C. It also has Clear Body, so don't have to worry about Intimidate. And it can run Assault Vest. It doesn't have great coverage, but it has electric and steel type coverage, which is honestly plenty for me. I also decided to run Poltegeist, which is a little counterintuitive, but I'll explain why. Our team is very weak to Ghost, and by that I mean we don't have any Ghost resist, and we have Siglith, Rapidash, Dracloak, all weak to Ghost types already. But we have like no damage into it offensively. Persian's not going to do anything, and Dracloak's not going to do anything. Poltegeist is still weak to Ghost, but at least it has a really, really nice special attack stat and can do some big damage right back. It also gets some nice support moves like Aromatic Mist and Tea Time. So I'm curious to see what those two will offer. I don't see me bringing them every week, but I feel like it's much more important that I at least have the option that I feel like I could fit them onto a team, rather than the other two where I was just really struggling finding a time where I would ever bring them. So with that, we will get into the second half of this draft league, and we will try to do our best to come out on top. Thank you guys for sticking with me, and I will see you in the next week.